Well, with that familiar theme song, we go out to the other coast of the United States, out to the West Coast, where they have a place called Hollywood, and they have a person named Michael Snyder. Hello, Michael.
Hi, Alex, and greetings, listeners from the far reaches of Cali. And it's time to do some film reviews, let you know what's going on at the theaters this weekend, whether you should drop by, drop everything, or don't drop your money. Here we go. Other than our lead review, by the way, it's Ladies Weekend at the movies. And all of the movies after the first one I review feature women and were directed by women. And that's a good thing, although the results are, let's just call them varied. We'll lead off with Christopher Robin. This is a period piece mix of live action and CGI starring Ewan McGregor as the flesh and blood title character, Christopher Robin, who, as you may recollect, is the little boy in all of A.A. Milne's Winnie the Pooh stories. Basically, this little kid has these sort of stuffed animal friends, and it's all about their adventures in the 100-Acre Wood, and it's very sweet, written in the 20s. Well, in this movie, Christopher Robin grows up and is reunited with his old pal, Winnie the Pooh, and all the rest of the animals through a set of circumstances. He's been through World War II. He's working at a luggage company. He's got a wife and children. The wife, by the way, played by Haley Atwell, who is, of course, Agent Carter from TV and charming, wonderful actress. And they've got a neglected daughter because he's busy all the time, and he has to rediscover the child in him and the family sense and all the rest of that. And he does so when Winnie the Pooh shows up in London and brings him back to the 100-Acre Wood. Now, this movie is directed by Mark Forster, who did Monsters Ball and the Kite Runner, and Finding Neverland, which was a little bit about James Barrie, the creator of Peter Pan. So maybe he's into a thing like that. This is not really all that great, but Disney has the control of the Winnie the Pooh character and the rest of the famous characters in the Winnie the Pooh stories. They've done a bunch of cartoons, and now they've leveraged the character for a live-action movie. Now, Jim Cummings is doing his best Sterling Holloway and Paul Winchell impressions as Winnie the Pooh and Tigger. The character actor Sterling Holloway and the ventriloquist Paul Winchell were the voices in many of the cartoons. Jim Cummings does a good job. And there's other famous people doing the voices here, including Brad Garrett as the dolorous Eeyore, Toby Jones as the owl, Peter Capaldi from Doctor Who as Rabbit, Sophie Okonedo. I mean, there's a lot of talent here, but, I have to tell you, this is a little on the dull side. It's well executed, but middling family fare, despite this great cast. But I have to say, seamlessly real, but no longer astonishing CGI allows the live-action actors to interact with these lovely little stuffed toys come to life. Stuffed toys come to life did it much better in the Paddington movies, Paddington's 1 and 2. But, the message of family over work is so hackneyed and obvious. We want that message, and there is charm here, but, I'm really on the fence about Christopher Robin. I suppose if you want to bring the kids somewhere this weekend, that will do, because don't bring them to The Spy Who Dumped Me, which is the story of Audrey, played by Mila Kunis. She's a disgruntled employee at a Trader Joe's type market, and Morgan, played by Kate McKinnon of SNL, who is a wannabe actress. They are 30-year-old best friends who unintentionally become entangled in an international conspiracy when Audrey discovers the boyfriend who dumped her actually is a spy. And soon the girls are traveling to exotic locations in Europe with assassins on their trail due to reasons. So you've got a female buddy pick, raucous comedy, an action movie, a little bit of all three, but you know what? This is neither fish nor fowl. Only McKinnon comes out of it looking good, and even she has to strain. If you want to see a female-centric action comedy about novices tossed into the dangerous world of espionage, watch Spy. It's Melissa McCarthy's best film to date. It's funny and even a little bit exciting, and this, not so much. The violence you'd expect in a serious spy movie is here. The laughs one once in a comedy are not. unless tired, obvious, lowbrow. Humor is your thing. And the supporting cast, including Gillian Anderson as a spy master, and Jane Curtin and Paul Reiser as the parents of the McKinnon character, are just kind of pissed away on trifles. I say dump the spy who dumped me. By the way, again, woman directed, but that doesn't exonerate her. The woman in charge of this one is a director named Susanna Fogel. She co-wrote this with a guy. Okay, let's see. The Darkest Minds is a sci-fi thriller about teens who mysteriously develop powerful new abilities and are seen as a threat by the government, so they are locked up in internment camps and have to fight for their freedom. Sound familiar? Dystopian sci-fi young adult cliches. This is one of those cases where there was a book-to-film insta-deal on a young adult property in the wake of The Hunger Games, Divergence, and the rest of them. Been here, endured that. The primary focus in The Darkest Minds is a girl named Ruby who wields uncommonly great power. We meet her as a kid when that power manifests, and she's hauled off to the camps where all the children with, yes, let's call them mutant powers, a la X-Men, of varying strength are locked up by the fearful adults under presidential order. Ruby's played in her teens by Amanda Stenberg, a pretty good young actress who got her big break in, surprise, The Hunger Games movies. The rest of the young cast is serviceable. There's a hint of romance. They're on the run from the government. As for the grown-ups, we get Bradley Whitford as the president, Mandy Moore as a sympathetic doctor, and Gwendolyn Christie of Game of Thrones as a bounty hunter after escaped super kids. It's apparently the first movie in a purported trilogy. Regardless of the loose ends at the finish, I had no desire to see where the story went. Jennifer Yu Nelson was the director, written by a guy. Okay, so let's get to something worthwhile. The Miseducation of Cameron Post. Set in 1993, this is about a teenager named Cameron, played by Chloe Grace Moretz, and she's caught in a situation with a classmate at prom night. A situation meaning, it's girl-on-girl action. And she's forced into a gay conversion therapy center by her church-going aunt, and I presume her uncle as well. Now Cameron is going to have to pray away the gay, whether she likes it or not. So we follow her through her therapy, meet her peers at the camp, as well as her therapists, or if you prefer, her captors, among whom are Jennifer L. and an actor I like very, very much, John Gallagher Jr. Also, you get Sasha Lane as Jane, her friend at camp, and a variety of other performers that do a great, great job. You know, this is tender, it's disturbing, it's very, very relevant in 2018 when our lunatic of a vice president is a born-again advocate of these brainwashing organizations. I think that people should see The Miseducation of Cameron Post. It's a very, very good film. It'll play well on home video. Directed and co-written by Desiree Akavan, and Cecilia Frugiel was her co-author. It's a good film, and again, entirely relevant. Okay, let's wrap up quickly with Never Going Back, which is a very funny and kind of off-the-wall look at two, I guess, high school dropouts. They're two girls, roughly 17 years old, who are working as waitresses and have a dream of leaving their Texas suburb to go to Galveston for a getaway. So they have to take on extra hours. And it kind of turns into a sort of mix of Thelma and Louise and just like crazy buddy pick. These girls are sassy. They're funny. They get into all kinds of trouble, and they're they can't get out of their own way. Played by Maya Mitchell and Camila Morone. Kyle Mooney from SNL plays one of their housemates. It's very, very funny. Petty crime gets in the way, and their own desires and untrammeled ids do as well. They have a wonderful, wonderful rapport. These actresses are really, really girls to watch for. Augustine Frizzell, she wrote it and directed it, and I thought that Never Going Back really rocked. We'll just wrap quickly with Nico, 1988, which is a biopic about the last year of the Teutonic chanteuse and one-time Velvet Underground singer as she tours and grapples with addiction and personal demons and wrestles with having been a mother who neglected her son. It's really wonderful. She's at this point in time living in Manchester, Manchester, England. It's years from being a superstar in the Warhol factory, and she's got a drug problem she has to deal with all the time. And not only does she have to deal with it, but her bandmates and her manager have to deal with it as well. Fantastic performance by the German actress Trina Dyrholm as Nico, written and directed by Susanna Nicciarelli. This is a really cool film, particularly if you're interested in the rock and roll life and this particular character. I recommend Nico 1988. What are you watching? What are you doing?
Nothing. It's the doldrums of the summer, so there's nothing to watch. But tell them where they can find you.
I'm on Twitter at Culture Blaster, and you can check out our sections and segments from GABNet on Facebook at Michael Snyder's Culture Blast page, and right here.
And they can always get you on demand on the GABNet.net page. Thank you so much, Michael. We appreciate it. I'm Alex Bennett, and that's our movie reviews for this week. Stay tuned for more GABNet coming right up.